Welcome to the Ricky Mathews Show. We've been saying Coast View now for over 3 years, so it's going to take me a little bit of time to get used to saying the Ricky Mathews Show. But we've decided to change the name after a lot of internal discussion over many, many months because people tend to say that I was on Ricky's show. I'm going to be on Ricky's show. Some of the new listeners who listen to Coast View sort of knew what view meant, VUE, the visual perception of a region. But I think by simplifying the name of the show, I think we all agree that just calling it the Ricky Mathews Show, because that's who this is. We're gonna make it a little bit easier to understand what the show's all about. So welcome to the Ricky Mathews Show, and this is still going to be the place where we celebrate the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi and Mississippi, for that matter, such a great place to live, work, and play. Hey, listen, over the course of the last week or two, we've had some tremendous conversations with people who are so dedicated to coastal Mississippi. Two of them, for example, Mark Henderson, who is a terrific entrepreneur here in coastal Mississippi, has a Magnolia Brewery. I almost said the other name of his business first. And then a radar technology company called Log Linear Group. He's writing a regular column now on entrepreneurship for SuperTalk Mississippi News. And we had a terrific, long conversation about entrepreneurship. And then Rob Siegler works with Cruisin The Coast, and he's going to be writing a regular column. He's worked for newspapers across the state. And his first column was about gun violence, really, really well written, and it's something we've got to think about, especially in the wake of the most recent spring break activities. It's just something we got to keep our focus on. I had great conversations with Fofo Gillich and Billy Hughes, the mayors of Biloxi and Gulfport, not just about what's happening in their communities, but also about the spring break situation and what we need to put in place to make those events safer. And then just a long list of others. My friend Laurie Jackson and her friend that came to us from Ukraine. We'll keep the focus on Ukraine every opportunity we get. Laurie and I have developed really good relationships. And again, the list just goes on and on. But it's been great to be here for over 3 years, and look forward to continuing to keep the focus on this amazing state and the role that coastal Mississippi plays within our great state. SuperTalk Mississippi News, I talk about it all the time, what a great news effort that is. If you haven't been to supertalk.fm, you should go there, supertalk.fm. When you go there, the most immediate thing that you'll see is the opportunity to sign up for a newsletter. SuperTalk also has an app. You can go to the Apple Store and get their app. But what a great place to get news and information. If you think about, they have the 12 radio stations that are part of the SuperTalk family, the SuperTalk radio family, this great connection of geographically located radio stations, and then another 14 stations that are various musical formats, so 26 total radio stations. And then another 25 radio stations on top of that are part of a news network. That makes 51 stations across the state of Mississippi that are part of this great news network. This news effort that is taking place at SuperTalk is really incredible. And I want to share just a recent story that was posted. This is actually the headline. Cruisin The Coast once again voted America's best car show. And let me just read a bit of this. This is by our news director, J.T. Mitchell. Cruisin The Coast has once again been named the #1 car show in America. USA Today readers voted Mississippi's largest car show as the nation's best over Back to the 50s in St. Paul, Minnesota, Street Rod Nationals in Louisville, Kentucky, among others. It is the fourth time in the history of cruising has been awarded the newspaper's top spot. Car lovers adore the annual event, which has taken over the Mississippi Gulf Coast every year since its inception in 1996. This is USA Today editors wrote. Cruise between the different venues, each festival in and of itself, and catch live music, food, merchandise, a car auction, swap meet, parade, and plenty of car talk. And it goes on from there. But what a great honor it is for Cruisin The Coast to have this pinnacle event here in coastal Mississippi. And I'm really pleased now to invite my friend Woody Bailey, who's the executive director and been involved. He's been Mr. Cruisin for all these years, and he's a good friend. How you doing, Woody?
Ricky, everything's great. Doing good this morning. We're very pleased about that award. I appreciate you mentioning that. I'm very happy to be on the new Ricky Mathews show. So it's a good thing.
Yes, thank you, my friend. You've been a good friend to the show, and you and I have worked together in tourism for many years. But it is to stay on top. You have to continue to please the people who come here that are part of this event. And last year was a record year, and it takes a lot of hard work to make each year better than the year before. And you guys are really focused on that, aren't you?
We are. Each year is always kind of a challenge. We don't want to change too many things because everybody likes pretty much what we're doing, but we do like to improve it, tweak it, look at it and try to improve it. And it seems to be getting bigger. I hope it's getting better along the way too. So we're, like I say, very pleased about that award and just the recognition of all of our volunteers, the people of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, who I always say are our secret weapon because of the hospitality and the welcoming nature of everyone that lives here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Our staff, our board of directors, it's just everybody pitching in. And now we have all 12 cities on the Mississippi Gulf Coast and all 3 counties involved in the event. So everybody's working in the same direction to make this event a success. So it's a real pleasure that we can be recognized and if we can do these things and everybody can have a fun time doing it, it's a great thing, and that's what I see in everybody's eyes during Cruisin the Coast.
No, it's a terrific event, and as you pointed out, now you have the 12 cities of coastal Mississippi and the 3 counties that are involved. The Cruisin the Coast effort, a single promoter that's worked over all these years to develop all these relationships, to work closely with each of the municipalities, to work with the county, to work with tourism officials, to create this I say pinnacle event, but it is. It's one of the most important events that happens in coastal Mississippi. And it literally showcases what this place is all about. It's a collection of these wonderful communities. And as you and I have talked about many, many times on this show, the typical event that these cruisers would go to are in an open field somewhere, and they go park, and that's kind of. Why don't you talk about the uniqueness of this event?
Yes, well, I'll tell you, we've got a unique chemistry here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast that allows this to happen. And you're right, like back to the 50s is a big event. I've never been to it. It is a fairly static event that happens. Hot August Nights is another event out in Reno that's more like us, and they do move around. But each one of our 12 cities has a unique personality and character, and everybody that comes here gets an opportunity to sample all those cities. And still, there are not many places when I talk about the chemistry. Here again, our people on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and then Highway 90 is pretty amazing feat in itself, where you can drive up and down our beachfront and see the beach and see the water. A lot of places up and down the whole United States coastline, you very seldom see that because of condos, hotels, development, and that sort of thing. And so our area is really unique, and it lends itself to making this event really work well. One thing you mentioned, the word pinnacle. We did win an award also a couple of weeks ago by the sales and marketing professionals and we're up against other 13 other events in the whole state of Mississippi, and we came out on top with that group. And so we won, and they call it the Pinnacle Award. So I wanted to mention that while we were talking. So we're fortunate to get that award, also being recognized by USA Today. So those are 2 great awards we've received here in the last few weeks.
It's there's so much to talk about to kind of break it all down as you guys continue to barrel toward this year's event, which we'll get to at some point during this conversation. But Woody, you mentioned the beach. I remember after Hurricane Katrina, it was a conversation that we had pretty regularly, and that was the quicker we can get the beach cleaned up, the better. There was all this debris, and it was just all these challenges that we were being faced with. But one of the things that we came to say often was if we could get the beach cleaned and really showcase the unencumbered view we have south, the thing that you were just talking about, the opportunity to drive along this beach in the three counties. I mean, it's very special. It's unique in America. When we come back on the other side, we'll talk about how unique that is and why getting that cleaned up was so important to us after Hurricane Katrina. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Mathews Show. I have my friend Woody Bailey, and we're talking about Cruisin The Coast, and just most recently won 2 awards here in the state, the Pinnacle Award for top event. And then also, it was voted America's best car show by USA Today. So the accolades continue to come back, and we'll talk more about media's involvement in Cruisin the Coast and why that's really important to the event and getting the message out about coastal Mississippi. But went to the break, though. We're talking about this unencumbered view to the south. And we knew that after Hurricane Katrina, we knew if we could stand there and see the beautiful beach and see the sunsets and the birds and whatever, that it would be a great reminder of when we get the stuff that was north of Highway 90 fixed, this is what we're going to be able to appreciate. This is the reason coastal Mississippi is so unique. And Woody, one of the things that someone said to me, it might have been one of the architects who came here as part of the planning effort about 5 weeks after Hurricane Katrina, and said that it was one other community sort of like ours, somewhere in South Carolina, where you could see these live oaks that line a highway with the beach on the other side. But everyone who comes here says, man, that's the magic sauce, having the people of coastal Mississippi combined with these wonderful towns and that unencumbered view south. That's what makes this event so special, isn't it?
No question about it. I think if I remember right, prior to casinos, our beach was our #1 attraction on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and it's still very attractive to me as well as it is to all the folks that come here to Cruisin the Coast and people that come here just in general. Throughout the year, it's having that beach looking good all the time is very important. The Sand Beach Authority does a great job keeping it that way, and it's just. It's one of our greatest assets that we have here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Well, what do you think about USA Today and this wonderful honor of being the #1 car show in America? Boy, does that make a statement, incidentally, to the people who might come here. And you got pretty close to 10,000 registrants last year, and you've constantly pointed out that while you may have gotten near 2,000 registrants, there's a whole bunch more who come that don't register. I wonder what the actual number of participants it really is.
That's always hard to tell. I get asked that question a lot. I always say 3,000 plus. I think realistically somewhere in the 3 to 5 range that are not registered. We wish those people would register. It certainly help us out, but we're glad they're here enjoying the whole Gulf Coast, and we're happy, like I say, happy to have them in place on the coast. They add to the event. They bring their vehicles here, and but anyway, we do have well over 10,000 naturally when you add all that up. But what we had last year was 9,618. Where we are today, we're at a little over 4,058, and that's we've been averaging around 200 ahead of last year's numbers at this point in time. Our first timers are around 400 typically, and when it's all said and done, those first timers are around 18% of our total registration. So that's always a great number that I like to look at, because for an event that's going to be 27 years old this year, we're still attracting a lot of new people. And we have 40 states in Canada that are signed up right now. And one of those 40 states is Alaska, and we've got a first timer from Alaska. I think that's pretty neat. We've had Alaska represented before, And last year, you may recall, we had our first person from England ever here for Cruising the Coast. So with the COVID restrictions relaxing and all, I think we're going to start having more of our international visitors here. So we've got, quite a good mix of folks, already signed up, ready to be here at Cruising the Coast. And it should be a great year.
It's really interesting to see this whole notion of the international traveler and how they make Mississippi sort of part of their plans. In conversations with Craig Ray about the Blues Trail and people who come to the Mississippi Delta. In fact, at one point in a conversation I was having, so someone told me that at the Ground Zero Blues Club in Clarksdale, if you go in at any given time, more than 50% of the people in there are not from the U.S. They're from points all over all around the world, who come here to understand this music influence that has affected music really around the world. You think about the internet too, Woody, and how it connects us, and particularly in the car community, the way the car community is connected by social media pages and various clubs, and these clubs are tightly connected. There are clubs literally around the world, and I could see this. I saw how privileged y'all were to have someone from England last year, but I could see that only growing. It's not a new phenomenon to Mississippi that we would have people coming in from all over the place. But from a car enthusiast point of view, that's something that's we could really tap into, isn't it?
It really is. It's amazing how much the American car industry is celebrated in other countries. Australia is another big one. We've had people from Australia here, and they have all sorts of car shows that go on in Australia. We've had folks from Germany here, so it'll be interesting to see how that does pick up. As time moves on, these recognitions that we keep getting, I would think would spark a lot more international influence. And yes, Craig Ray and working with their department has been very important. We're trying to, get the word out as far and as wide as we can about Cruising the Coast. And you mentioned music. That's a big part of our event too. And we look at the demographics of who's here and all. We don't just do 50s and 60s music. That's our mainstay, but we're mixing in more recent music because our spectator base is growing. People, we're happy for people to be here if they don't even have a car. We're doing very good with registered car folks and the car group in general, but the spectator base is really growing, and that's a little bit younger group. And so we want to reach out to them too. So all these things have a lot to do with what we determine is going to be our musical lineup and some of the activities we have during the event.
Well, I mean, yeah, and you mentioned that to me last year, that's one of the things that really makes this event so successful is that you're really focused on understanding what is the makeup of the visitors who are coming here? What are their likes and dislikes? Again, you mentioned the demographic aspect of it. The economic study that you do, getting down to the brass tacks of what the economic impact is going to be. And by understanding that at a really detailed level, it gives you the opportunity to really target certain audiences that may be growing. And, music's a way to do that. There are other ways to do that as well, but you're really focused on letting sort of that strategic focus guide you and what adjustments you're willing and able to make going forward. It's very important to y'all, isn't it?
It is. Yes. Our study naturally is an assessment of how well we're performing and what we're doing. But like you say, it gives us an insight into the people that are attending the event, and we get feedback from them. Naturally, you talk about the internet and things of that nature. We hear a lot from people all the time, through via email and other means. But we love hearing the feedback. Fortunately, most of it is positive, but we want to hear whatever people may have to say about the event, in hopes that we can continue to make it better and more fun and enjoyable for everybody while they're here.
There's no doubt about that. Coming back to the USA Today designation as the #1 car show in America, you're not I mean, of course, USA Today is not alone in recognizing this event. I mean, during the event, you've got car magazines and other bloggers and just a wide range of reporters from all walks of life who come here and report back to their unique audiences. But that media extension of Cruisin is hugely important to this event, isn't it?
It is, and you're right. We do have a lot of folks here in town covering the event, whether it be from a video standpoint or from the written word, and Hot Rod Magazine. Different groups have been here over the years. We've had several international magazines over the years too that have covered the event. So it seems like we do have people's attention, and that's a good thing. And back on that award, it's still amazing to me that here we are, little old Mississippi Gulf Coast, when we're up against the Los Angeles Car Show, we're up against the Detroit and the Woodward Dream Cruise, we're up against the area in Minnesota where the Back to the 50s is, and some of these very large areas. And for us to come out on top, that's pretty neat. I mean, our outreach is pretty amazing. You have 40 or so states plus that come to the event. 45 is the most we've ever had at one time. But these people go home and tell everybody what's going on here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and so that's invaluable advertising for us.
We're catching up with my friend Woody Bailey from Cruisin the Coast, talking about the car show, the Cruisin the Coast being identified as the best car show in America by USA Today. Once again, I might add, once again. Hey, when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Woody. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Mathews Show. It's great to have you with us today. Thank you for listening or watching on YouTube or Facebook or listening on your favorite podcast. But we appreciate you being here. We're having a conversation with my friend Woody Bailey, who is the executive director of Cruisin the Coast. He is Mr. Cruising here in coastal Mississippi. And, Woody, when we went to break, we're talking about this economic impact study that you've done. It helps you guys talk about why this is really important to coastal Mississippi from a bunch of different angles. It also helps you gather a lot of information and make adjustments when they're necessary. But the economic impact of Cruisin the Coast is real, isn't it, buddy?
Very much so. As we've talked before, our last study that we did a couple of years ago, now we do one every 5 years, $36.1 million when you talk about the entire state, $33.1 million when you focus on the three coast counties. And from 2016 to 2021, that's a 27% increase from where we were over the 5-year period. And to me, if you're in any kind of business, if you're having a 27% increase in what you're doing, that's awesome. So the way I look at this, when we started Cruisin the Coast back in '96, we wanted to do something to help the economy out at a typical slow time of the year. And I really think Cruisin the Coast is doing its job. And I talked to a lot of people all up and down our coastline, and they're very thankful for the event. And you mentioned about Katrina. That was one of the things we wanted to do after Katrina, is get Cruisin the Coast back up and running as quickly as possible, because we knew the impact it made on everyone, and whether it's a direct impact or indirect impact, it's here, and for an 8-day event to generate that sort of income, that's pretty impressive, and we're pleased with those results.
There's a lot going on as it relates to cruising for people who have not paid close attention to it, who have not heard Woody and I talk before. But you've got these events that are happening in each of the 12 cities. And then, of course, you've got sort of your headquarters at Centennial Plaza. We've talked about this before, but boy, Centennial Plaza, what a jewel for coastal Mississippi for an event like this, where you guys can go in there amongst those oaks and make it just this incredible headquarters. But, whew, buddy, are we lucky to have a place like Centennial Plaza?
We most definitely are. That is a great location for us. It's a central location. It's a beautiful location, and everybody enjoys it. when they show up there. A lot of people hang out there during the whole week of Cruising the Coast, and just like the atmosphere, the ambiance that Centennial Plaza has, and they've really done a great job with it. And we're really proud to be a part of that, and are able to, glad to be there. That's for sure.
And of course, at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum and Convention Center, there are the events that happen there as well. Our friend Pete Vicari has Vicari Auctions. You have other events there. Also, the fairgrounds. You don't think people don't tend to think about the fairgrounds, the Harris County Fairgrounds, that's up north off County Farm Road, being sort of a player in all this, but that kind of gives you the sense of the Coliseum might be happening, so things may be happening, and then you've got people who may be staying overnight in an RV park that emerges there. Give a sense of both of those venues.
Yes, the Coliseum works very well with Pete's auction, the Vicari auction, and we also have a big swap meet going on there on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We have our a real crowd-pleasing event called the Autocross. It's a timed trial where you can bring your vehicle in there and see how fast you can get through the course. So that's a lot of fun. And then we're fortunate to work with Harrison County. They're a sponsor of the event, and at the fairgrounds, they offer parking for car haulers. A lot of people bring their cars down in big trailers, and they're able to park their car haulers there, and they have RV offerings, and I think they've been very busy. So really, we're spanning a good bit of all three coastal counties. So it's pretty amazing how it all works together and creates such a neat event.
Woody, one of the things that you and I have talked about before, when you think about sort of, again, the scale of this, such a big event with all these various components that come together to make it what it is, this event that has been the top event in Mississippi, and then also the top event car show by USA Today. What it takes, the thing that I'm always impressed with is the relationship that Cruisin has with the various car clubs, also the tourism community. But the number of volunteers it takes to pull off an event like this it's huge, isn't it?
It really is. You mentioned the car clubs. We've been very fortunate to have, now we have 12 car clubs, and that's usually always been around 11 or 12 over the years, that provide us about 650 volunteers. And then the balance of the volunteers, which somewhere we're in 1,000 to 1,200 range, come from various aspects of the community. And those volunteers are very vital too. And that's one of my major concerns, where everything we've been talking about is all nice and rosy and how well we're doing, but it really we're dependent on this staff, this labor force that we have, and they're all primarily volunteers, and we want to continue that, and into the future we want to have more people continue to volunteer with us. We have created, if you go to our website, which is cruisinthecoast.com, you can click on the Cruising Crew, KREWE. We kind of had a little Mardi Gras flair to that, and people can sign up to work in any of our venues from Pascagoula to Waveland, and work so many hours a day, or they can work the whole week, or they can move around to various venues. We want to make it easy. You can get involved in traffic control. You get a really upfront great seat to see all these cars when they come into town. We have accounting aspects. We have marketing things that you can help us with. But we need help. And for the future of Cruisin the Coast, that is very, very critical, and something that's on my mind all the time. I go out and speak with groups regularly, and I'm trying to recruit people to come help and work with us at Cruisin the Coast, because we definitely need help. And it's a unique thing about the car clubs, because most of those car club owners have a classic vehicle, and someone driving in here from Indiana, they all have it's a unique connection that they make right away. The fact they both own classic cars, and that's something that's unique to Cruisin the Coast, and I want to see that uniqueness continue on. But I know in time things will change, but we've got to have people there helping us run this event.
I'm thinking about companies that have really worked hard, and this is true. This is true all across coastal Mississippi. Companies that encourage their employees to be involved in the community. That can play out in so many different ways. It could be being involved in United Way or the Chamber or any number of other organizations. Feed My Sheep. I mean, the list goes on and on. But another great way to give back to the community is to be involved as a volunteer in the Cruisin the Coast effort. So if you're looking for sort of community-minded efforts that really have a significant impact in coastal Mississippi, a great way, in fact, for your employees to understand what it takes to put together an event like Cruisin the Coast, the kind of people that are involved, the kind of volunteers that are involved. Like Woody pointed out, well over 1,000 volunteers are needed. I would encourage you to maybe create sort of an internal effort in your company around this and find a way for your company, especially if you're involved in tourism, to find ways for your company to be involved. Also, just thinking about all the various civic organizations across coastal Mississippi might be a great way for your civic organization to do a community event of some sort that would, not event, but a community volunteer event, and make Cruisin the Coast your event and find a way for your organization to be involved there. You can get more information about how that might play out. It could be at Centennial Plaza, or it could be at any of the 12 stops along coastal Mississippi, as Woody was pointing out just a few minutes ago. Or you might be a student. I mean, if you're just a student and you really want to understand how events like this happen, what a great way to get to know people, to meet some other very dedicated people in the community, and to learn a lot about what it takes to pull an event like this off. If you're working to get a degree in marketing or business or tourism, hospitality, whatever it might be, man, this would be a great one for you to be involved in. So if you're a student and want to think about it, or you're a parent and want to find a way for your child who may be in college or whatever to come back and contribute in this way, this would be a great way to meet a lot of people, to really have a sense of what it takes, and they can learn a lot, and it could be life-changing for them to be involved in this. These are the kind of people that you hear from, isn't it, Woody?
Yes, most definitely. You've hit a lot of nails on the head there with what you've just said, and we would welcome folks to come join our team and be a part of it. And like I say, you'll have fun doing it, and you'll learn as well. It's a great opportunity to help out Cruisin the Coast and be a part of the future of the Gulf Coast.
When we come back, we'll have a final segment with my friend Woody Bailey from Cruisin the Coast, and we'll remind you, if you're interested in being a volunteer, how can you sign up? I'll give you some directions on how to do that. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Mathews Show, formerly Coast View. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we changed the name to make it reflect, make it a little bit easier for people to remember, because people say, I'm going to be on Ricky's show, and then people say, what is Ricky's show? And they don't know what Coast View is, and we're just trying to simplify it from a marketing point of view. So welcome to the Ricky Mathews Show. Woody, when we went to break, we were talking about how important volunteers are, but I'll remind people, I actually went there myself just to try to get a sense of it. Cruisin the Coast, that's easy to remember, cruisinthecoast.com. And when you go there, you'll see there's a red bar, and it's got schedule, site locations, and map, et cetera. But one of the items there is actually volunteer. So you just click on that, and that will give you more information. You can certainly contact the Cruisin the Coast team and get their recommendations on how your organization, your business, or yourself might be able to be used. And find something that's a good fit for you. That's the thing. There's so many different opportunities available. From a volunteer point of view, you'll find what you need there. This year's event is from October the 1st through October the 8th. October the 1st through October the 8th. And Woody, we've been lucky over the years. I know there's been a couple of times when tropical systems have challenged us and whatever, but that typically actually is a really good weather time of the year, isn't it?
It is, and that's why we chose here. It's just a great time to be on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. For the most part, we have pretty good weather during Cruisin the Coast. We've been fortunate, particularly last year. I think that's probably one of the best weather years we've ever had. We had a full, not only 8 days, but a full 10 plus days of perfect weather. There was a little front that came through, I remember, but no rain. It just reinforced the the drop in humidity and just the beautiful weather that we had. So we'll take that kind of weather anytime. So it's just a great time to be on the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Yeah, I know it is. Listen, as I'm on your website, it's clicking through the various sponsors.
Right.
Man, there are a lot of sponsors. Again, it takes a village to pull this off, doesn't it?
It really does. We have quite a group of folks that are supportive through sponsorship, and we're open to talking with other folks about joining the team and getting your message out during Cruisin the Coast, because our outreach is awfully strong. But from the sponsors to the volunteers to the staff and like I say, my secret weapon, the people of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, everybody's working together to make this event a success. And it's just really unique to have, like I say, now all 12 cities involved, and it's the Gulf Coast shining strong as one unit. That's a good thing.
It is a good thing. How's your team doing there as we get ready to wind this down? How's your team doing?
Well, the pace is picking up. Things are moving as we march toward the October 1 date. Like I say, things get a little more hectic around here, but they're all hanging in there and doing very well. We have like I say, a small group of folks, and people don't realize that we only have 3 people full time throughout the year working on Cruisin the Coast, and we pull in volunteers during the year to help us with the event. So we're sort of lean and mean, but we enjoy it, and it's always a challenge, and it's just such a great event. So we're looking forward to this year's event as well.
One of the important points that I'll make is that there's been a lot of discussion lately about events in coastal Mississippi, but when there's a single promoter, which is in the case of Cruisin the Coast, you can develop these relationships with the municipalities, with the counties, with the various entities, and have a very coordinated effect to this effort. And the truth is that it requires incredible law enforcement, pre-positioning, and it's just a mountain of logistical work, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, people think about, like, say, law enforcement. Fortunately, we're low impact with most of all the police departments and sheriff departments as far as activity. Traffic control is our main issue, I think, with them. But you think about public works. I mean, just taking care of all the things that you don't really think about: trash, sanitary services, things of that nature. There's just lots of things that go into it. Not only is it the glamour of marketing and bright, shiny faces, are just a myriad of activities you've got to discuss with all these municipalities, and they're always very open and welcoming because they know the impact of cruising and what it can do for our economy. So we all work together on all these issues.
Listen, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. 9,618 classic cars registered last year. What's your goal going to be this year?
Well, here again, have a great event for the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Have a great economic impact. We'll see about the numbers. Like I say, we're a couple of hundred ahead of where we were last year. Everybody's wanting us to hit the 10,000 number, so we'll see what happens. It's to be determined, but it's going to be fun getting there.
Congratulations, Cruisin the Coast, for being the #1 car show in America by USA Today. And as you pointed out, you beat some really, really first class and big time events all across the United States. And Cruisin the Coast is on the map, maybe the international map. We'll see. Anyway, Woody, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you, my friend.
Ricky, thank you. Good luck with your new name. I like your new name, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.